right, and we are back here on the GSMC football podcast. And for the final part of the show, we are now going to get into what Chris Canty had to say recently on First Take about Joe Burrow. Now, first off, I love Chris Canty because Chris Canty was part of the last great moment that the Giants have had in my life, and that's winning the Super Bowl. He was a part of that defense with him, Justin Tuck, Jason Pierre-Paul, Osi Umenyiora, Chase Blackburn, all those guys. And it was nice watching, a competent Giants team play football, even though it was, condensed into a half hour the other day, watching all those Super Bowl specials. And it brought me back to a better time. Now, when it comes to this take, he said that, speaking on Joe Burrow, he's not an elite quarterback. We've got to get out of this thing where we want to anoint everybody an elite quarterback. I'm just saying we can't give the runner-up to the runner-up to the runner-up elite quarterback status. And he also said Joe Burrow's claim to fame is once upon a time, 40 years ago, beat Patrick Mahomes in a playoff game on his way to losing the Super Bowl. I'm sorry, that doesn't give you elite status. All right. Now, here's where I'm going to say where Canty is right. Yeah, this didn't happen recently. This happened back in the 2021-2022 season. And since then, Joe Burrow has not gotten back to a Super Bowl. And yeah, the Bengals, they missed out on the playoffs this year. Bengals missed out on the playoffs last year. And the year after they beat Mahomes, Mahomes beat them. And that was the year I kind of wanted. I wanted the Chiefs to win because I was kind of sick of the Burrowhead stuff. I mean, come on, really? But the other thing too is he did say, what did he say? Mahomes gets the gold medal, Josh Allen gets the silver medal, Lamar Jackson gets the bronze, or vice versa. He said something along the lines of that too. And what has Josh Allen and Lamar Jackson have done? What have they done in the postseason? Other than lose to Patrick Mahomes and just come up short. Now, you could say, well, Lamar Jackson has won a couple of MVPs, is on his way to maybe winning his third MVP. Josh Allen could win his first MVP. Joe Burrow doesn't have any MVPs. Because he did, I think he also talked about that too. And I get that. But, I mean, I think Joe Burrow, when we talk about the top quarterbacks in the league, well, first of all, no, you know what? If you want to say that, Patrick Mahomes is the only elite quarterback in the NFL. Patrick Mahomes is the only elite quarterback in the NFL. And then everybody else is very good. If you want to do that. Because it's interesting how people use the word elite. Because what defines an elite quarterback now? Because when I think of elite, for me personally, I know I just said what I said there, but, Mahomes is in that category, Josh Allen is in that category, Lamar Jackson is in that category, and Joe Burrow is in that category. They've all played in championship games. Some of them do have MVPs. But in terms of the best, that's who I think is the best of the best right there. But if you want to go a step further, well, Mahomes is further out, and they're kind of all jumbled together. And here's the thing. Are we really going to blame Joe Burrow for this year? The margin for error was very small. I get that. Because there were some turnovers that he had in big moments that costed his team wins. The game against the Chiefs. I know there was that pass interference call at the very end on the 4th and 16. I get it. But he also fumbled the ball that led to a touchdown, to a scoop and score. The Bengals, they went... he threw a pick at the end of the first Ravens game in Cincy, and they tied the game off of that. But also his kicker didn't do him any favors. You had a 2-score lead against the Ravens the second time around. You blew that lead. Against the Chargers, yeah, you came back and you tied the game up. And again, Evan McPherson missed a couple of kicks. But you were down early in that game. So I don't think Burrow is completely exonerated from the season the Bengals have had. Also, they put up 10 points against the Patriots week 1. There's no excuse there. However, but if we look at this Bengals season, are we really going to blame Joe Burrow? Is he the main culprit? No. It's that defense. That defense was awful. And Joe Burrow played like an MVP this year. I mean, he had the most, right? He had the most touchdown passes. Or I think, actually, did Lamar have more than him? Lamar had, what did Lamar have? 34? 34. I mean, 44, that's what I meant to say. No, oh no. He had 41. Lamar Jackson had 41 touchdown passes and 4,100 yards passing. Joe Burrow had, on the season, take a look at his stats. Joe Burrow had 43 touchdowns. He almost had 5,000 yards passing and 9 interceptions. He had better stats than Lamar Jackson. And guess what? He has no chance of winning MVP. Now, I think he should win Comeback Player of the Year. I do agree with that. But, I mean, if the Bengals had a better year record-wise, Joe Burrow is your MVP. Joe Burrow would be your MVP. And you look at Josh Allen. Josh Allen has what? 28 touchdowns and 6 picks? He has a lot of rushing touchdowns. But still, I would give it to Joe Burrow. I think right now, I know I said Josh Allen should win the MVP, but you look at the numbers, Lamar's probably going to win again. And I said this too, don't be afraid, NFL, to give Lamar Jackson his second straight MVP. Don't be afraid to do it. I know Josh Allen had a good year, but if you truly feel like Lamar Jackson deserves the MVP, you give it to Lamar Jackson. But yeah, if the Bengals were better this year, Joe Burrow, he would have won the MVP. He's the MVP. But it's because the Bengals, they got off to the slow start like they typically do. And look, they did rattle off a winning streak towards the end of the season there. But it was too little too late. It was too little too late. And they just missed out. Had they beat the Patriots week 1, they would have been in. And I don't know what would have happened. They probably would have, I think they still would have lost to the Bills. But it would have been a great game. It's just, I think, I mean, now it doesn't really matter at this point because, the Chiefs once again made it to the Super Bowl. But I don't think the Bills would have lost that game. But we'll never know. We'll never know. But look, I think we fell into this clickbait, rage bait type thing with Chris Canty. I mean, I don't think Chris Canty truly believes what he's saying there. I mean, come on, you really don't think Joe Burrow's an elite quarterback? I mean, come on now. We watched the games. And I did bring up why he's right in his own way with saying that. But he's not right. Joe Burrow is an elite quarterback. We don't have to have this we don't need to have this kind of conversation. And it's we'll see what happens next year now because T. Higgins is probably not coming back. It's going to be the Jamar Chase show like it was this year. But now it's just going to be him. The Bengals are going to have to figure it out. And I'm going to make this declaration right now. The Bengals are going to get things right on defense. And this team is going to be motivated to make the playoffs next year. And they're going to make it. And I had them making the playoffs. I had them making it. They came up short. Them and the Dolphins both came up short. I had both of those teams making the postseason. They missed out. I mean, I don't want to make any other claims on who I think is going to make the playoffs next year because we're not even, this year's not even over yet. We still got one more game. But, yeah, I just think it's silly. Like I said, there's 4 guys there that I would put in elite status. There's guys that are on, the outside, a little bit on the outside. Because I would love to put Justin Herbert in that conversation. But he did not play well in the playoffs. And he had a good year. It's just that playoff game against the Texans was rough. I'd like to put C.J. Stroud in that conversation. There are guys that are just outside the elite status that I want to see get put in. But they got to show me something next year. But right now, I mean, well, you could say, well, Joe Burrow, he didn't make the playoffs this year. He hasn't made the playoffs in a couple of years. Well, last year he got hurt. 2023 he got hurt. If he doesn't get hurt, the Bengals are making the playoffs. And then this year, I mean, he had probably his best year as a pro, but his defense was historically bad. So that's a unique case there. But, yeah, I mean, really the thing is, it's Mahomes and everybody else. It's Mahomes and everybody else. And Mahomes might not be putting up the stats like he did, the first couple of years he was in the league, when Tyreek Hill was his number one receiver. But he's winning championships. And he's got a chance to win another one. So those guys got to start catching up, though. Lamar Jackson, Josh Allen, Joe Burrow. I mean, you got to, if he wins another one, I mean, that's 4-0. And the only other quarterback that, well, Joe Flacco, but, Matthew Stafford won a Super Bowl in his era. Tom Brady retired. So it's just, when's somebody else going to win? And I'm going to keep saying that. When is somebody else going to step up, knock off Mahomes, and get their Super Bowl ring? When is that going to happen? Gotta wait at least another year. Meaning this one. Because it's, well, then again, could be Jalen Hurts. But the thing is, if Jalen Hurts wins the Super Bowl, and I know I'd be contradicting myself after what I just said, but, I mean, if Jalen Hurts wins the Super Bowl, that doesn't mean I'd say, well, he's better than Josh Allen and Lamar Jackson, but it would put more respect to his name. So, but let me know what you guys think about what Chris Canty had to say. Do you think Joe Burrow is overrated and not an elite quarterback, or do you think that Chris Canty is just, not making sense here, to put it nicely? Again, love Chris Canty. Big part of my childhood with, the 2011 Giants. But, yeah, this was not your best take. Not your best take. And maybe we'll see this. Who knows? Maybe I'll have him on the show. Maybe I'll message him and he'll explain to me why Joe Burrow is not an elite quarterback. So that is pretty much it for the show for today. Thank you guys for tuning in. Make sure to check out all the other shows as well. We are moving right along here. I know Media Day was last night. So there'll be some topics that I discuss regarding, what some of the players may have said, things like that. And then some other things. Maybe we'll get some news on Cooper Kupp tomorrow. Maybe he gets traded. Who knows? But make sure to leave a like, comment, and subscribe. And as always, I'm your host, Kenneth Grunfelder, signing off from the GSMC Football Podcast, brought to you by the GSMC Sports Network. Have a good day, and I will talk to you guys tomorrow. Take care.